October 2023. Getting right into it. Welcome everybody. First of all, apologies for absence.
None to myself, Chair.
I see none. Minutes of the meeting held on the 7th September, which you've all had the opportunity to look at.
Happy to move.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra, and Eddie's got his thumb up as well. Thank you, Eddie. Declarations of interest, please. Sandra.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to declare an interest in two of the items on agenda item 10 as a prejudicial interest, as I'm the portfolio holder for social housing and tenancy support. So they are 2021 01046 10 Dovering Close and 2021 01047 12 Dovering Close. I'll withdraw from the meeting at that point and come back in for the one after that.
Marvellous. Thank you very much. Are there any other who else have I got? I've got Councillor Cope. You've got your hand up.
Yes, I have. Thank you, Chair. I need to declare an interest, please, in item 10 2020/01218 HYB Leckwith Quay. In my role as community councillor in Dinas Powys Community Council, I have looked at this plan before, and also with Mickleston Le Pit Community Council. Just to reassure committee that I will be coming to this with fresh eyes and looking at all the information afresh today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you wish me to declare an interest in that sense as well for 16 Hill of Frennis, Dinas Powys?
I don't think we need to on that, as this is just bringing back what we had from the last time. But I will be corrected by legal if I'm wrong. Legal? No?
Yeah, no. Sorry, Ian. Right, did you declare on it when it was there last time?
Hill of Frennis. I don't think I did actually.
Unless you feel anything's changed, then I don't think we would need to. And as Neil said, I think it's coming in for an update rather. So I think we're probably okay on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Marianne. It was worth checking. Right, I thought I saw another hand up as well. Was that a declaration of interest?
Councillor Perry had his hand raised, Chair, but it's been lowered.
Yeah, okay.
Hang on, I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry, can you hear me? Yep. Yeah. I just need to declare on the two in St Nicholas that I've seen them obviously with the Community Council. I'll be looking at them both with fresh eyes this evening.
Thank you very much. Right, moving on. Assuming there are no further declarations of interest, could both Councillor Cope and Councillor Perry, just to put his hand down, put your hand down, please, Marion. Thank you. Thank you. Right, item 4 is site inspections. We haven't had any this time, so we can move on from that. Item 5, building regs, applications and other building control matters.
Chair, we need to actually, I think, well, Amy's going to tell you.
Sorry, I was just going to jump in. Item number 4, Chair, you do have a site inspection from the 7th of September.
Right, I thought that was subsumed under the minutes of the last meeting, but I will take your advice. And that's just for noting.
That's correct, Chair, yes.
Yeah.
And also, if I may just add that apologies for Councillor Payne were sadly omitted from that. So we would be noting, subject to it also being noted that Councillor Payne provided her apologies for the site inspection.
Thank you for that. In that case, moving on to item 5, building regs, applications, other building control matters determined by the Head of Sustainable Development and delegated powers. Again,
sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair, to interrupt again. Can I just check that that's moved and seconded for the site inspections by the committee, please?
Oh, right. Can someone move?
I'll say move.
Thank you. And seconded. Sandra's got her hand up as well.
Thank you.
Can someone move note item 5 then? Sandra, thank you. Seconded. Thank you, Charles. Item 6, planning applications determined by the head of sustainable development under delegated powers. Again, for noting. Can someone please move? Thank you. And second, same too. Thank you. Item 7, appeals. I'm trying to remember who was going to talk on appeals. I think that's Liam, isn't it?
Myself, Neil, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just share my screen, members, so you've got the slides I'm going to show.
Yep, that's displaying, Liam.
Can we see that? Yeah.
Yes,
okay,
thank
great.
you.
Okay. Okay, so in the report there, agenda item 7, it documents our appeals. So we've received an enforcement appeal recently, land adjoining 10 New Barn Holdings, St Athan Road. So that was a case where we've issued an enforcement notice in relation to material change of use of the land, so waste and vehicles being stored on there. So the start date has been received on that appeal of the 4th of September. So that'll be held under written representation route. What I've done, like last time, I have put a slide of the appeal decisions we've received. So moving on, firstly is the appeal at 1 Rectory Mews in Penarth. So you'll see from the summary we've provided in the report there, the key issues in this case. So if you can see the plans there, the red line demarks the application property. So essentially it was a proposal for a dwelling on land which was the garden of 1 Rectory Mews. So you see there was quite a close relationship between the red line area, Rectory Court, and the proposed dwelling. Very close to the outdoor area of that property. So just in terms of context, see the top right screen there. The dwelling was proposed in this area here, where there's a sort of a garage outbuilding. The inspector looked at the scheme, agreed with officers that the impact upon the residents of this property, by virtue of it being a 2-storey flank wall there along the boundary, was harmful. So that was one key issue in terms of dismissing the appeal. The other then was the loss of amenity space, because by virtue of building a house on this land, it was taking away amenity space from 1 Rectory Court, and also not providing a great deal of amenity space for the dwelling itself. So that appeal was dismissed. Next one then we've got is Caerleon House, 4 Roos Road. So this one was a proposal for quite a change really to a hipped roof property. You'll see on the street image there, property sort of in the centre of the shot with a hipped roof. Had a sort of an awkward looking side extension, a flat roof, but you can see from the proposal that the owners wanted to square that off from the gable end on the property. Now this property is within a conservation area, so key tests there being whether it preserves or enhances the character. The inspector agreed with officers of the council that there would be harm in this instance, so didn't feel it would fit in with the street scene, and that it wouldn't preserve or enhance the conservation area, so that being the key test there of legislation and our own policies. Happy to take any views or questions on that, Chair. Okay.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I see no hands. Therefore, this is for noting. Can I have someone to move and second? Thank you, Sandra.
Yep.
I can see a few seconders there. Thank you.
I'll take Councillor Williams, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, moving on to trees. Again, this is for noting the delegated list. Can someone move in second? Thank you. let's see, Councillor Williamson, Councillor Perks. Then we come on to the enforcement. Item 8, item 9 rather, enforcement land and buildings at Holiday Inn Express Port Road, Roos. I think this is just it's a report for noting again. Could someone take us? Who's taking us through this?
Yeah, myself, Councillor.
Thank you, Liam.
So effectively, this is an enforcement report. Just to note, you'll see from the report that the council has, through our delegation, taken enforcement action in relation to the solar panels erected on the Holiday Inn Express building. Now, normally solar panels would not require planning permission in this context, other than the fact that this is within 3 kilometres of an aerodrome. So, being in close proximity to the airport, the solar panels need planning permission. Now, they were erected on the roof of the building without planning permission, so we didn't have any control or documentation to satisfy us and the airport that they wouldn't have a harmful effect. So we acted quickly and issued an enforcement notice. So this really is a report just to say that we took that action. Now, where it's at the moment is Holiday Inn have submitted a planning application with relevant details. So we'll undergo an assessment of that and the impact arising. So make a decision on it. There has been an enforcement appeal lodged as well. So we'll obviously seek to deal with both of those as we go forward. But yeah, just for noting. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it's an important one, really. It seems minor, but it is important because of aircraft safety and so on. It has to be right because dazzled pilots aren't that healthy. So again, can we have a move and second?
Move for notes.
Thank you, Councillor Williams, and
Second.
Thank you. In that case, we now move on to the planning applications.
Councillor Cow's got a hand raised.
I can see that. Councillor Cow.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As you know, I asked on Friday if it's about the planning application at Leckwith Quays, whether planning committee could have a visit there this morning, and that wasn't possible. Because it was too late to organise. But this is a very unusual site with a very unusual, the entrance to the site is quite near a big roundabout. Obviously, there are lots of issues with travelling through Penny Turnpike Road from Llandoch, Dinas and further afield. So I just would like to suggest that I don't know if committee feel it's relevant, that a visit to this site would be better before we discuss the application for relevant councillors and others.
Yeah, thank you. Are you moving that?
Yes, please, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Hodges.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to second that. I think it's important that we as a committee have a good look at this site. I'd like to look at its proximity to the river as well. I understand there's a planning, there's flooding information in there, but I'd like to see that properly if that's possible. So I'd second it for a site visit.
Right, we have a motion to defer that's been seconded. Before we move on to the discussion on this, can I ask officers have some slides and stuff which may benefit the discussion? Can I ask Liam? I think it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Just to come in. I mean, Rob will present what was to present the item, but we do have a full schedule of photographs, so it might be beneficial for members to view those photographs at this point, and the aerial shots we have on the presentation. I think it would be useful information to sort of decide whether site visit is needed after viewing it.
If you can present that, then we can move on to a discussion based on that information as well, please.
Okay, I'll pass you over to Rob then, and we'll cycle through the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Liam.
Okay, I mean, just as it says here, just in terms of description of development, what's actually being proposed, obviously that's useful to start just for anybody who's not completely familiar. Obviously, it's a hybrid planning application with full planning permission sought for works to provide a replacement bridge and associated highway alignment of the B4267. The outline application seeks residential development on this particular site for up to 228 dwellings on the northern and southern plateaus, which currently comprise of existing industrial site, with all matters reserved except for access. So as you can see from the plan that Liam's got before us, the site comprises an area of kind of circa 8.3 hectares, consisting largely of previously developed land. It's located adjacent to the River Ely, as Councillor Hodges pointed out just now, on the border between the administrative borders of Cardiff, kind of to the north and east, and the Vale of Glamorgan to the west. South and west of the site comprises of areas of woodland, which are recognised as a site of importance for nature conservation. The site is known as sorry, Liam, you're sharing your emails at the minute. The site is known as Leckwith Yard Works and is accessed off the B2673 via two bridges, the Leckwith Road Viaduct and the existing Grade 2 listed bridge and scheduled ancient monument recognised as Old Leckwith Bridge. Part of the site does fall within the C1 flood zone, but not the higher level C2 flood zone. So the first aerial view here shows the site in the context of a wooden escarpment to the kind of bottom of the picture here. The A4232 running along the kind of northern edge of there, and a kind of wider urban context of Cardiff and the Leckwith Retail Park above. Next picture, please, Liam. This is from the south of the site, showing the width of the site and how it's dissected by the elevated road, which is the existing viaduct here, which is proposed to be replaced as part of the works. It shows the kind of industrial nature of the land, how it's generally kind of laid to hard standing and used for various kind of largely open storage uses, such as a concrete yard, concrete products business, and a car storage sales area to the northern side of the site. This shows the site, and again in the context of the wooded escarpment providing the backdrop of the development, the kind of, again, Leckwith Road running through the middle, and actually shows the listed bridge just to the right hand side of the kind of viaduct that's running centrally, and again the kind of larger urban feature to the bottom of the A4232. Again, so next one please, Liam. This one is from the northern part of the site. Again, the listed bridge is visible in the foreground, which is currently used to access the industrial uses which are currently taking place on the site, and again shows it, well, hopefully well in its context with the river on the left hand side here. Yeah, and the A4232 beyond on the left hand side, and again shows the wooden escarpment and the steepness of the kind of terrain to the right hand side. Again, I think got one more aerial, have we, Liam, or are we on to the other photo? Yeah, we've got one more area. This is just a closer view of the existing viaduct dissecting the site, again with the concrete, I think that's the concrete products sales area to the bottom there. Okay, so now we've got some just site photos which are from this week. This is from beneath the A4232 up towards, showing the existing kind of B road alignment on the left hand side there, the listed bridge and the access to the industrial uses at the site just to the right hand side of that. Also shows the kind of existing weight restrictions that apply to the bridge, which are in part imposed because of the condition of the structure as is, which obviously I'll get onto later on. You can just see on the left hand side the kind of Ely River cycle trail and footway which runs along along the Cardiff side of the road. On the next one, Liam, so this is on the listed bridge itself, the A4232 elevated above in the background. So shows the kind of context of the site in part. It does drop off to the left hand side, which is the northern end of the site, and is, you know, a much lower level as you go up. What this does also show is the kind of orange Heras fencing here, which shows that damage has occurred to that listed bridge recently as a result of kind of heavy vehicles moving across it. Next one, please, Liam. So this is from the viaduct northwards, basically showing the kind of existing car sales and kind of the kind of various operations and structures within the context of the site. There's the flow gas facility in the immediate foreground, and also gives a much better indication of the kind of terrain and the kind of framing that the escarpment forms to the kind of western edge of the site. The River Ely is just about visible on the right hand side there, with the trees on the right hand side of that. Next one, Liam, please. Again, this is just the view southward from the existing viaduct down into the kind of existing concrete yard and other various storage activities that are currently being undertaken at the site. Next one, please, Liam. This one is from the top of the viaduct down, with Cardiff in the background, the A4232 again. Shows the existing geometry of the road and the narrow footways to either side of a bridge within the safety barriers either side. And one last photo here is from a bit further up Leckwith Hill with the escape lane, and that kind of shows the general geometry of where the revised road alignment would start and kind of go round and sweep round through the site. So hopefully those photographs have been useful to provide some context. Shall I continue with the kind of discussion of the planning merits and what our thoughts are, or do you want to move to the... I think
not, in that we are at the moment discussing whether or not to defer. If we decide to defer, then that would come up at a future meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
If we decide not to defer, then yes, we would carry on with it now.
Okay.
Councillor Johnson, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm just a little surprised that both at the reluctance to allow a site visit in the first place, given that we were told we get the papers on Thursday evening at about 5 o'clock, and Councillor Cowp contacted you on the Friday morning to request a site visit. I think that could have been organised within the time, and that would allow us to have an informed discussion today. I'm grateful to Robert for going through the photographs. All I think I've really got from that is I want to see the site for myself and be able to ask questions about the site on the site rather than simply look at a load of Google photos. I do think that it's a bit strange that we've had a motion moved and seconded and then told, oh, it's okay, you might not need to go through that. I think we do need a site visit, Chair. I'm disappointed we haven't had one already, and I hope we can move to a vote shortly so that we can discuss it, because this is an application that has taken place over 3 years, as officers know. It is a quite major application. It's quite, I think, unique in terms of its location and its proximity to other local authorities. So I'd really like to go and see this for myself, and I don't think we're I think we'd all benefit from from that site visit, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. The reason I suggest that we see these photographs was to put into context the discussion on the deferral motion rather than on the application itself, which I think is entirely appropriate. So do we have any comments, any questions or anything on the deferral? It's the motion for deferral we're discussing at the moment.
Chair, if I may just clarify, obviously, if you have no dissent to the deferral, then we can obviously take that as agreed. But if there is dissent, then we would need to go to a vote, which I'm happy to take you through.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is why I'm inviting comments from the members of the committee. Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I'm happy to have a vote on this, but there are, it's a very important application. I totally agree on that, but we also need to execute things quickly as well, and I'm very conscious of that as well. So I would like to have a vote on this.
Thank you. Councillor Perks.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, as somebody who uses this road quite a lot. I'm sort of well aware of this site, but obviously, you know, there could be other councillors who are on this committee who might not be aware of the site and the road layout and what's proposed there. But yes, you know, I think it's you know, we need to sort of get on with having a look at the actual plans itself. But if people want to have a site visit, then obviously we can vote on that, can't we, and decide.
Yeah. Councillor, who have we got now? Councillor Johnson, you've already spoken. Councillor Perry.
Yeah, just to say, I understand why there'd be a rush, and I'd be happy to defer and actually go and have a look myself, rather than make a decision and then go and have a look and see if we made mistakes.
Councillor Ernest.
Yes, Chairman. I agree with the members who think a site visit would be beneficial. I must admit I've passed this road over the last 40, 50 years and hardly given it a glance. I think I'm right in saying that the council owns the woodland to the west of the site. It's part of the Leckwith land that we own. A lot of people don't know that, but it's a very valuable piece of landscaping land. So it does impact on land that we own as a council. And I think in the interests of hearing the application to invest merit, rather than proceeding with an application tonight for over 250 houses, we should hold a site visit. Thank you, Chairman.
Actually, it's 228 houses, haven't they?
228.
Yeah.
It's a lot of houses either way.
It's a lot of houses. It's not over 250.
Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Champion.
Yeah, I just think that yeah, we should have actually had this site visit, and perhaps this is a lesson for officers to. I don't think we have to ask for them, but if we have our information late in the day, and we can go and visit the site by ourselves, but it's much better to have a site visit with the officer who can answer questions. So
thank you. Right, Councillor Johnson, we've got something new to add to this discussion that you haven't already said.
Yes, Chair. I was just considering the comments from Councillor Wilson, who wants to expedite matters, and I was just thinking about the Section 106 element of this development, which is I believe a £6 million replacement of Leckwith Bridge, which would otherwise fall into the just something that's the Vale of Morgan Hall's responsibility for. And I was just considering Councillor Wilson's dual role, because he's also the cabinet member for highways and engineering transport. I'm sorry, I can't remember your full title, Councillor Wilson, but I have no thought either way on the actual the merits of this. I generally want to see the site because I'm interested in seeing having a proper discussion about it. But Councillor Wilson's intervention seems a little bit strange given the role that he plays within the council, Chair. I'm interested to hear Councillor Wilson's explanation for that. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, happy to. I predicted that someone would bring this up about my role, and I've actually spoke to the monitoring officer, and I've received advice. And because it's not a reg-free application, I am free to speak about this matter and vote. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. In that case, Amy.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Capp, you have your hand up now.
Somebody made a comment that it would be better to have an organised visit rather than go, but I have heard that if you do go to the site, they are not very pleasant to you. So I do not advise anyone to go to the site on their own. And I think we do need to reflect. The papers come out on a Thursday. You're not sat at your computer for every minute of the day. And I think that I asked for the visit on Friday morning and I was told that it was too late. So either the papers need to come out earlier or we need to be able to expedite visits when councillors ask. This is a very, very unique site and we need to get it right. Thank you.
For late application for site visits, there has to be strong planning reasons as opposed to good planning reasons, as I understand. You were consulted as a local member on this, when the application was first mooted, and were given the opportunity to comment, and you could then at that point, and I'd advise this to all councillors, not just members of this committee, that you have the opportunity at that consultation stage to request a site visit if you think it's appropriate in those terms, and you have good planning reasons for that request. You also had the opportunity as vice chair of Dinas Community Council, where this matter was discussed, to have raised it at Dinas Community Council, who could also have at that point advised that a site visit would be helpful. So you did have good opportunities.
Chair, I'm going to make an objection to your comments, because you discussed this with me on the phone on Friday, and I explained to you that as a new councillor, I only know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. And until you pointed out to me that I could ask for a site visit at any point in this planning application, I did not realise that. And we did discuss that on Friday, and I don't appreciate it being gone over. I have acted in good faith with the knowledge that I have about being on the planning committee, and I did not realise that I should have let you know straight away, and I will certainly do that in future.
Yeah, I believe this has been part of training in the past. Councillor, Amy, is that you? Do you have a comment on this?
Sorry, Chair, I was just going to ask if we could progress on to the vote, please, but I do note that Councillor Hodges has raised his hand. I'm not sure what his comment was. Sorry.
Yeah, he was the second for the motion to defer. Councillor Hodges.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I was the one to second it. I still want to see it. It's a very strange site. I do have issues with this way of the council getting out of its responsibilities for a £6 million bridge, which perhaps could be dealt with in other ways. When I see reports that there's been 12 flooding concerns on the River Ely in the last 12 months, and the proximity of this site to the River Ely, I want to see it not from Google pictures. I want to see it on the ground. I want to see the difference in levels there, and just how close that river is a concern to me. And I cannot understand why cabinet members are reticent to allow us as a planning committee to be fully informed with a site visit.
I'm not sure that anyone's actually said that. Councillor Wilson.
Can I just come in? Can we just go to the vote about the site visit? Otherwise, we go into detail of the application.
I was about to do that before you put your hand up. In that case, Amy, could you take us through the vote, please?
Absolutely, Chair. On your behalf, can I please take a vote from the committee with regards to the motion put before you, with regards to deferring the application in order for a site visit to be undertaken? Councillor Bruce, are you for or against the motion, please?
For the deferral.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Buckley.
Due to the size of the importance of this, I'm for the deferral.
Oh.
Thank you. Councillor Cave.
Yes, I too am for the deferral.
Thank you. Councillor Champion.
For the deferral.
Councillor Kaup.
Sorry, my mic was off. For the deferral, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Drake.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ernest.
For the site visit.
Thank you. Councillor Gilligan.
For.
Councillor Hodges.
For.
Councillor Johnson.
Obliged. For. By the way, Chair, sorry, just Councillor Wilson, I think, has left his microphone on.
Councillor Payne.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Perks.
For.
Councillor Perry.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Stallard.
Obliged. For.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas.
I'll abstain.
Councillor Williams.
I was going to abstain, but I'm happy. Yeah, abstain.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Wilson.
Abstain.
It doesn't take a lot of maths. It's 3 abstentions and everyone else 4. So we will defer this matter to the next time and arrange a site visit on the morning of the next planning day.
Thank you, Chair. If I may just pass thanks to Miss Fortune, who had registered to speak on the item this evening. I will correspond with her directly after the meeting.
Yeah, and just formally, that's 15 for and 3 abstentions. Councillor Champion.
I'd just like to apologise to Emma Ford.
Councillor Perks.
I think I need to withdraw from the meeting.
Yeah,
now,
we don't.
Chair.
We don't need now to discuss the Leckwith Keys proposal, as we will be doing that at the next planning meeting. Sandra, if you move out and then be called back.
Would I be able to go out of the meeting, but somebody tell me when I can come back in?
Yeah.
Yes, Councillor. If you exit the meeting but leave your Teams open, I'll call you in at the appropriate point.
Okay. All right.
Councillor Johnson, is that a new hand or a legacy hand?
Yes, sorry, Chair. I was just checking with Democratic. The result of that vote was that 14 in favour of the deferral and 3 abstentions.
15, I thought I made it.
That's correct. That's correct, Councillor Johnson. It's 14 for and 3 abstentions.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, just checking.
And right, moving on then to where's my papers gone? To the next item on the agenda. It's the we have late reps on this, and we have a speaker on both the next ones as well. 10 Duffering Close, St Nicholas, 2021 01046 RG3. And I don't remember who's taking it. Steve
yes,
Butler.
Chairman, thanks very much. As you've correctly said, we have some matters arising from St Nicholas and Bomberston Community Council, which would have been circulated to members yesterday. So the application site itself relates to 10 Duffering Close in St Nicholas. The property in question, you can see at the bottom of the plan in front of you, is located on the right-hand side of a small terrace block of dwellings located at the head of the close. So the site itself is within the St Nicholas Conservation Area, and the property is also identified as a positive building and is also a county treasure. The site also falls within the settlement boundary. So this is a full application. It's partly retrospective. So there's 2 elements of it. One is to retain the roof tiles, which have already been altered on the property, and to reinstate a chimney that was taken down. So just for members' information, these are Reg 3 applications. So there's this application and an associated application at 12 Duffering Close, which relate to the council's own properties. So if we can maybe go down to the next slide, Liam. Or is there another one that shows the roof tiles? Possibly, yes. So so just starting off on the roof tiles that have been changed they've been changed to Marley Ashmore Smooth Brown, a sample of which is on the sort of top left corner. These are a plain single lap interlocking roof tile. So those works were done actually several years ago. So the reason why these applications have taken so long, they originally submitted in 2021, is that the numbers 10 and numbers 12 they had removed the chimneys from these properties, and since that time we've been trying to get the chimneys put back, and we've also been trying to get these chimneys appropriately detailed to ensure that they replicate as far as practically possible the design and materials of the former chimneys that were at the properties. So in terms of the chimney design itself, there's been quite a lot of discussion with the agents on this, and they've done a sort of survey of looking at historical photos, etc. So they've detailed and will be reinstating as far as possible the original chimney As you can see on the drawings in front of you, it's effectively a kind of a stepped brick chimney. So you've got a course of exposed brickwork. So it's 660 metre wide and 1.1 metre deep, with the 50 mil overhangs around the perimeter, and then 3 courses of brickwork above that, which is slightly deeper again with an overhang. So the brickwork they've specified as being Ibstock Bridley brown waterstuck brick. So effectively, say from our point of view, the design of the chimneys will be going back in the same location and be pretty much replicating the design of the chimneys that until quite recently were in place. There is a photo on page 144 of the committee report, which shows the original chimney in place prior to its demolition. So members, I can possibly share that quickly if it does help. It is from Google, but nevertheless, it's the only photo we've got of the chimney. It's relatively clear, so it shows the general form and design. So, as I said, it's going to be a brick chimney, but lower part will be rendered with a step brick above, and on top of the chimney itself will be a chimney pot. So this will be, unlike the other application, this will actually be an active chimney, whereas the other one they'll be reinstating it and effectively capping it. But so just on another couple of points, members might recall back in July 2022, we brought before you 2 more properties within Dyffryn Close, numbers 13 and number 4, where they'd also replaced the roof tiles, and there was a resolution there to agree the changes to roof tiles. So just for members' information, the roof tiles are the same as those that had previously approved on other properties in the Close. I'm happy to leave it there, Chairman. I think I've covered most points.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now we do have a speaker on this, so I believe Ginny Jones, are you available?
Yes, I'm here.
Right. As per you've been told the rules and everything about speaking, you have 3 minutes, and our democratic officer will give you a warning when you've a minute to go, and time starts when you start.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair and Councillors. My name's Ginny Jones, and I've been asked to speak on behalf of St Nicholas with Bomston Community Council. Dyffryn Close is a locally listed historic asset known as a county treasure. Such status should ensure that treasures are fully regarded in the planning process where they are threatened by development pressures. The local listing strengthens the case for the retention of the special features subject to the current applications, in addition to the area's conservation area status. The Council's County Treasures inventory describes Dyffryn Close as a post-war cul-de-sac comprising of 16 houses. The houses are white painted with traditional small tiled roofs. Dyffryn Close has been recognised as a good example of post-war secular architecture. In addition to this, the St Nicholas Conservation Area Appraisal and Management Plan lists the well-detailed former council houses of Dyffryn Close, which date back to the late 1940s as a defining characteristic of the conservation area that reinforces the designation. When notified of plans to re-roof the properties on Dyffryn Close in 2016, the Community Council sought and received assurance from the Vale of Glamorgan Council that like-for-like small roof tiles will be installed. The Community Council is immensely disappointed the promises were not kept by the Council. In 2009, numbers 7 to 10 Dyffryn Close had a single uniform roof across all 4 dwellings. There are now striking differences between the original double lap tiles and the cheaper single lap tiles. It is submitted that the incremental loss of the original roof coverings at the application properties and other properties at Dyffryn Close is cumulatively eroding the characteristic features of the conservation area. The loss of these original building materials and architectural detail is contrary to the advice within the St Nicholas Conservation Area Appraisal Management Plan, recommending that the Council encourages restoration of architectural detail and reversal of unsympathetic alterations, especially chimney stacks in the original roof covering. It is our view that the works fail to preserve or enhance St Nicholas Conservation Area and the locally listed buildings contrary to LDP policies. Roof tiles at number 2 Dufferin Place were replaced by the council in 2014 and subject to a retrospective planning application which was approved in July 2022. The tiles used on the roof interlink with the adjoining properties and there is no distinguishable difference between the tiles on the separate dwelling as originally intended. This seamlessly interlocking of old and new roof tiles is what is expected of the tiles at the application premises and their respective adjoining neighbouring properties. In summary, it is submitted that development fails to preserve or enhance the architectural and historic qualities of the locally listed application buildings and the character and appearance of St Nicholas Conservation Area, contrary to LDP policies SP10, MD8 and the aims and objectives of PPW.
Minutes, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Jones. If you just stay on for a moment while I ask whether there's any matters arising or anything any member of the committee would like to ask you based on what you've been saying. She's gone. Are there any comments or any questions for Ms Jones? There are none. In that case, can I ask Steve whether you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'm happy to respond. You know, I certainly wouldn't disagree with the majority of what Mrs Jones has said. You know, she's correctly identified the importance of the buildings which are county treasures and the importance of the conservation area and the tests that need to ensure that the development preserves or enhances. And it's really all set out in the officer's report. You know, there are differences, and the report does acknowledge there are differences in the size and the profile of the tiles, but you know, the report concludes that it's not going to cause, effectively, we feel it's going to preserve the character of the conservation area and the county treasure. So, yeah, as I said, we sort of debated this in July last year, and you know, I believe that the legacy of the type, not that it's particularly relevant, is the type of tile chosen was during COVID, when I believe there were supply issues, as with lots of issues we had during the time when bricks weren't available. So I believe that we were told that this was the only tile that they could get hold of. But nevertheless, we have to consider what is before us to retain, and say the officer's report concludes that the change would preserve and enhance the character of the conservation area. Obviously, in addition to that, rectifying the you know, the unfortunate removal of the chimney and you know, replicating practically as best as they can a replacement chimney. So overall, say officer's view is that the scheme preserves the character.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Councillor Perry, I believe you're a local member. If you,
yeah, this is just a point of information. I reported this. It was me, because I stood in the street and looked up and went, "How on earth did they get planning permissions for that?" Which is when I checked it, and the year was 2019. Now, unless the Vale of Glamorgan was a little bit different to the rest of the world, the pandemic of COVID happened in 2020, and therefore in 2019 we hadn't had any building supply disruption caused by the pandemic. So that's a factual mistake. I'm not going to speak now, but I'm also disappointed that there's no photograph in the document showing the tiles on the roof side by side, which is what I asked to be shown in July last year. So that could have been incorporated into the design. I hope members of the planning committee have seen photographs of the tiles, the old and the new side by side, because otherwise they are taking a decision completely in the dark without having seen it, and perhaps there should have been a site visit. I'm just going to be quiet now, but I just wanted to interject there. I'll talk at the end if I need to. Thank you.
No, as local member, you should really, you know, in terms of the way it works, it would be helpful for you to talk now and have your say, and then we can move on to the general debate.
Chairman, I'm sorry, just to pick up on Councillor Perry's point, I'm happy to share the photo which shows the adjoining tiles and the new tiles, and these are from the Community Council's own letter we received. Obviously, these are the new tiles and these are replacement tiles. So you know, members can see that in terms of the number of rows, it's pretty much half what it would have been. The width of tiles is not dissimilar. It's the kind of the lap, as it were. It's like a single tile versus a double tile. But I think that, in fairness, that photo does quite clearly show the difference between the two.
Yeah, I thought we had that in the papers. I've seen that photograph. Right, move on to the debate then, if we may. Councillor Perry, this is your opportunity as local members, if you want to just have your say now, or do you have anything to add to what you've just said?
I think I'll just I want to hear from other members of the Planning Committee. Thank you very much.
Right, Councillor Payne. If you put your hand down, Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Chair. I do remember this previously with the other properties, and one of the comments I did make at the time was about the fact that the tiles will weather. I also did see the side-by-side on scrolling through the papers from the Community Council, and it's kind of the same issue for me, because surely in future the older tiles are going to have to be replaced, and then they're going to have to match with the other tiles. So I do remember there was a supply issue. I think we'd just been through Brexit, so there were issues with building supply and tiles and brickwork and wood in particular at that point in 2019. So my point really is I'm going with the officer's recommendation on this, because I think that the older tiles will have to be replaced in future, and the ones that are there will weather and they won't look so distinct. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, I would like to support officers' recommendations on this. I think, to have a planning committee spending ages discussing tiles is not a very good use of public money, I feel, and I think we should move to a vote.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. I take it that's a movement, motion to support. Is it seconded? It's a motion to support officers' recommendations. Can I see anyone seconding it? Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Hodges.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm concerned that this is one rule for us and one rule for other people. I remember this coming to us before. I also remember us taking enforcement action against a property in Barry. When you get quoted to you a number of our own policies that this application breaks, we have to be mindful of that. They may weather in a very different way. They certainly look incredibly different, and we should do better, and we have to be seen as a council as doing better. I think this is problematic, and I think that we can't be seen to be one rule for us and one rule for everyone else. So I'm struggling to support the officer's recommendation. In fact, I think I'll have to vote against it. Otherwise, if we don't safeguard our own policies, what sort of committee are we? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hodges. Councillor Cave.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Yes, I have to agree. I can also remember, like other fellow councillors here, also discussing roof tiles where we actually then took enforcement action. And I know we look at each case on its individual merit, but it does sound to me like we do have standards to uphold here. And I too will have great difficulty in agreeing with officers' recommendations here.
Thank you, Councillor Cave. Councillor Ernest.
Yes, thank you. I think councillors before me have made some very good points. It is a conservation area. The applicant is the council itself, and therefore you would think that in these circumstances we'd be absolutely on the ball in ensuring that it's like meets like, to ensure the integrity of the conservation area. I, as you know, Chairman, live in a conservation area. There have been all too many instances where lapses have occurred, materials have been changed, fence lines have been changed, walls have been taken down, and so on, and it helps destroy the conservation area. So I like my Like those who've gone before me, I am not supportive of the recommendation as it stands. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Ernest. Councillor Champion.
I think I'm of the view that it's possibly very difficult to get for like when the tiles are 60 or 70 years old. And I think the contractor employed by the council probably did his best. We could talk about double lap tiles and single lap tiles. I think the new single lap tile, it tries to replicate what was a traditional flat tile. Obviously, double lap tiles were all to do with keeping the weather out. Sarking does that now. And they're talking about swept valleys. And I think that the valley in a more modern solution is probably doesn't really affect the overall appearance. So, but obviously the chimneys are an important aesthetic, and obviously they were taken down probably by mistake by the contractor. I don't know. So I think I'd be minded to support the officer on this one.
Thank you, Councillor Champion. Councillor Perry is the next hand up, and then Councillor Johnson.
That's just a point of information. The roof tiles on number 2, which is the Vale Glamorgan, are like for like. And in 2021, despite the pandemic and the huge material shortages, the residents who are private residents at number 16 changed their roof and managed to put on like for like tiles. It's only the Vale Glamorgan Council that in 2018 and 2016 had problems with putting the original tiles back on. So unfortunately, people who have got sympathies with the contractor, it's misplaced, and there was no reason for like tiles not to be put on the roof in the years between 2016 and 2018, which is what we're talking about now.
Thank you very much. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, just very, very briefly. I mean, I do agree with Councillor Wilson that I don't think that we should be sat here discussing people's tiles in great depth. That's not what the planning committee is for. However, I will just draw attention back to the hypocrisy of us taking enforcement action on private householders because they say that they couldn't get appropriate tiling for their property in a non-conservation area during the pandemic, whilst using that as an excuse for our own work here. So I really think that we should be considering what we're putting forward as reasons for why this wasn't done in the first place properly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. In that case, before we go to the vote, Stephen, would you like to?
Yeah, sorry. I just like to see quite a bit of reference has been made to the fact that we've taken enforcement action. I think it was possibly even at the same committee in July 2022 regarding 101 Port Road West, and I believe they were kind of small profile clay tiles. I think the house is a corner house in a very, very consistent street scene. And as part of the kind of upgrading and alterations to the house, I think it was rendered, etc. They took the original sort of clay tiles off and put slate on, which when you look at, you step back and you look at the whole of the street scene is a marked change to the character. There's a real uniformity of those properties in Port Road. Yes, they're outside a conservation area, but I think, if anything, that demonstrates that we do look at uniformity, particularly in conservation areas. But as has been said, even if you were to be able to get the same tile, it would be slightly different. It still wouldn't look like the adjoining tile. The adjoining tiles have been up since the late 1940s, so even if you got the same tile, there would be a marked difference. The building is not listed. It is locally listed as a county treasure and in the conservation area. So, the tests are there, and we've gone through the relevant policies, but we feel there is a difference between what's been done now versus what we've taken action against in 101 Port Road.
Okay, thank you very much. In that case, I propose to move straight to the vote now on this particular matter. We have another one similar. Amy, there does seem to be dissent, so can we?
Just very quickly to come back on that. people may have seen the photographs of the roof at number 2 compared to the roof in number 3. Number 3's got the original tiles, number 2's got the new tiles, and they match.
Councillor Perry, you've had the chance that you've had 2 opportunities to speak within this. I mean, I've said we're moving to the vote. Amy, could you take us through the vote, please?
Absolutely, Chair. So the motion has been put before the committee to move with officers' recommendations as per the report before committee. So starting with Councillor Bruce, please, are you for or against officers' recommendation? Councillor Bruce?
Oh, sorry, I didn't turn my mic on. Sorry, against.
Okay. You're against officer recommendations. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Buckley?
For officer recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Cave?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Champion?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Cowp?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Drake?
For officers' recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Ernest?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Gilligan?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Hodges?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson?
An Erbin against.
Thank you. Councillor Payne?
For officer recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Perks is obviously absent for this vote. Councillor Perry?
Yeah, I've seen it. Against officer recommendations because I've seen it.
Councillor Stallard?
Just your vote.
Obliged.
Thank you.
Councillor Thomas?
For.
Councillor Williams?
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Wilson?
For.
Thank you, Chair. I make that 9 for and 7 against. So the motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Moving on then to the sister application, which is exactly the same. Again, Steve, if you want to.
Yeah, if Liam can just share. So just in terms of yes, the same application again to retain the roof tiles. Same specification of roof tiles. The chimney is slightly different. It's slightly differently detailed, again, based on the evidence that you had at the chimney that existed at the time. So this chimney, again, is going to be made in brick, built in brick with a render and then a reinforced sort of concrete crown around it, on top of which there'll be 2 courses of brickwork. This won't be an active chimney, so it'll be capped off by a plain clay ridge tile. And really that's it. Just in terms of its location. So as you come into the close, it's the last pair of semi-detached houses on the right-hand side, and it's the right-hand side of the pair. So this is part of a pair, whereas the other one was part of a group terrace of 4. So again, as set out in the report, officers have considered that whilst there are changes, we feel that overall they will preserve the character of the conservation area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, Ms. Jones is ready to speak on this. I'm wondering whether she has anything different to add or whether she wants to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to summarise then, the impact of the council development subject to the application is as followed. 50 rows of tiles have been reduced to approximately 26 rows of tiles. The original continuous relationship between the roof tiles of the adjoining dwellings is a characteristic feature between of the locally listed county treasures that have been broken by the new roof tiles. As already discussed, members will recall that the continuation between the roof tiles was a reason for issuing enforcement notice in July last year at 101 Port Road West in Barry, which is a semi-detached property. The enforcement notice required the removal of the grey cement roof tiles on the 2-storey side extension and the replacement with a suitable alternative that matched the colour and concrete texture profile of the tiles on the original dwelling and the adjoining property. It appears that there is an inconsistent approach being applied to similar developments. The new tiles are not in keeping with the character of the conservation area. The contour of the new tiles is different. Swept tile valley are a feature of the original roofs and have been lost due to the replacement tile not being suitable for a swept valley. The subdivision of the roof across numbers 7, 8, 9 and 10 Dufferin Close is visually prominent. There is a significant visual impact. Black rainwater goods, fascias and soffits have been replaced with white PVC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stephen, you... Oh, sorry. Has anyone got anything to Ian? I think this is a question for Ms. Jones, right?
I've got a question for Ginny. Yes. Looking at the street now with the changes, does Dufferin Close still merit a local listing, or in your professional opinion, should the development now be delisted?
No. This is for
and obviously it's a conservation area. Should the conservation area boundary be redrawn so it no longer includes Dufferin Close, given the damage that's been done with this change of roof tile and the other loss of original features?
Councillor Perry, can I just confirm your point of clarification with regards to what Ms Jones has said, please, because we're dealing with points of clarification at the moment.
Yeah, I get to ask questions, don't I?
No.
Right now is a point of clarification
on what Ms Jones has said, rather than anything new.
I think that was kind of partially covered. We did. I think she did mention. Ginny did mention the conservation area and local listing. And members might be interested.
Yeah, Ginny, if you could respond to that, and we'll move on to.
I think my response to that is that the works have, incrementally, resulting in the loss of the merits of the conservation area, and eroding the characteristic features of it. I'd be interested for the conservation officer's input for that from the council in respect of whether or not the property should now be removed from the boundary.
That's for other consideration, I think. Stephen, unless there are any other points of clarification before we move on. I see no hands in that case, Stephen. Thank you. Thank you, Ms Jones.
Yeah, just to pick up on the point that Councillor Perry's made, I mean, all I can say is if the property's not within the conservation area, these post-war rural district developments are important part of our villages and the way our villages have developed, and there are a number in the Vale. I think they form an important part of the evolution of the village. So I think they're right in the fact they are within the conservation area. Not only that, they are identified separately as county treasures. So if we didn't have that protection, then they would be eroded even more.
All right, thank you for that. In that case, having done that, we now move on to the debate. Ian, you have the opportunity as local member to speak first.
It's comedy half hour, isn't it? Oh my goodness, no one can keep a straight face on that. I'm sorry, I'll come back when I can keep a straight face.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, can I say I'd like to ask Councillor Perry to apologise for his remarks, please.
I stand by them.
If Democratic could take a note of the minute of the time at the moment, and with the future referring this to the to the monitoring officer. Thank you, Councillor Hodges.
Thank you, Chairman. We've basically done this debate now, but and my opposition remains the same. What I would say is I think this will make I'm concerned about how we're actually going to enforce anything like this in anywhere in the future. This gives a very strange and mixed message to the people in the Vale of Glamorgan, like, you do something that's not right, we will do you. but if it's us, we can get away with it. I am reminded of the fact that in Barry Cemetery's chapel, admittedly, these are floor tiles I'm now going to talk about, but we found an exact match 113 years later. These things can be found, and if we'd tried, or if the person doing the work had tried a bit harder, perhaps we wouldn't be in this situation now. I do take umbrage when people say that these will weather. They will, but they will weather differently. It's not good enough. And if we are serious about our heritage, and if we are serious about retaining the look and the feel and the ethos of areas, especially in conservation areas, we ourselves can't be seen as the one flouting, breaking our own rules, laws and regulations. So I'm very, very disappointed with this, and we've been caught out, and now we're wriggling out of our responsibilities. I don't think this is acceptable. I can't support this, and it really does concern me of what's going to come up in the future, where we will possibly and probably apply different rules and regulations to other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hodges. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I think we've had the discussion on the previous application. Similarly, I'm not getting any new information coming through on this. So can I move officers' recommendations?
Thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Wilson.
Second that.
That's a second. Yep. I'll ask Councillor Cave to comment, and then we'll move to the vote.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I do believe that we have standards to uphold on this committee, and we will be failing in that duty to uphold standards if we let something like this slip through. I do not believe it's appropriate for our own council to lower standards in a conservation area, and it would appear that is exactly what we're being asked to vote for here. And so I won't agree with officers' recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Cave. We have dissent. Councillor Perry, this is.
Yeah, I asked to see a photograph earlier. Can we also see the photograph that compares number 2 with number 3? Because then the members and anyone watching at home can see how well the tiles that are being put by the Vale Glamorgan Council number 2 interlink and match with the tiles at number 3.
Yeah,
it's an example. It's an absolute example of how well it can be done and how it should be done.
I'm happy to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It looks great.
Right, moving on then to the vote. We have a motion to approve officers' recommendations, which is seconded. Amy, can I ask you to take us through the vote, please?
Absolutely, Chair. You've set out the motion, so I'd like to start with the vote, please, for Councillor Bruce. Are you for or against officers' recommendation?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Buckley?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Cave?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Champion?
For.
Councillor Kelp?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Drake?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ernest?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Gilligan?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Hodges?
Against.
Councillor Johnson?
An Erbin against.
Thank you both. Councillor Payne?
For officers' recommendation.
And Councillor Perks is not present for this item, so moving to the vote from Councillor Perry, please.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Stallard?
Obliged.
Councillor Thomas?
For.
Councillor Williams?
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Wilson?
For.
Thank you, Chair. I make that 9 for and 7 against, so the motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Can you call Councillor Perks back in, please?
Absolutely, Chair. Give me one moment, please. I'm calling Councillor Perks on Teams currently, Chair. Give me one moment.
There she comes.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, Sandra. Right, moving on then to planning application 2023-00740 full. This is a report back. We determined this at the last meeting, I believe it was, about the 6-foot fence around the side and rear of the property at 16 Hill, Freninez, Dinas Powys. We went against officers' recommendations, but we recognised that there were some conditions that we needed to consider, and the officers have come back with conditioning. Steve, would you like to take us through it?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, just to confirm, this was reported to the I think it was the 7th of September committee, and as the chairman's just said, the officers' recommendation was to refuse the application and also seek authorization for enforcement action. I don't know whether Liam can possibly share the images of the fence. So what we dealt with is, as I say, it was a retrospective application for a 1.9 metre high close boarded fence. It's 40 metres in length. So, as I said, planning committee members resolved not to refuse the application and not to take enforcement action. So it was deferred in order to for officers to consider any appropriate conditions for the fence. We've been in discussion with the applicants, and effectively the only condition we're proposing is to stain or paint the fence. It's condition 2 in page 167 of the committee report, either stain it or paint it grey, brown or black within 3 months. We just feel if members do want to approve it, that by sort of painting it a darkish colour would kind of tone down the impact if it's generally accepted that fence is acceptable in the first instance. So that's all really. Say we've just and there's also a condition which is a requirement on all applications now for biodiversity enhancement. So it includes the provision of a bird box, which is condition 3. Thank you.
Any questions, comments from members of the committee? I see none. I have one which perhaps I'd like to add. Looking at the fence again now, it's occurred to, well, not occurred to me now, it occurred to me earlier, that this is quite a formidable barrier in terms of, and the mention of the bird box sort of brings it up as well, quite a formidable barrier in terms of wildlife. And I was wondering whether there's anything we could condition for maybe hedgehog access and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that point about hedgehogs, we do often, certainly in schemes of biodiversity enhancement, require holes in or lifted up fences for hedgehog sort of, routes, etc. I mean, we haven't discussed that directly with the applicant. I must admit. I mean, from our point of view, they've satisfied the biodiversity requirements to put the bird box up. We haven't specifically asked them about that because the fence is in place. It would probably have to be a matter of drilling a hole in the bottom of the fence. So I suspect we'd have to have their agreement to that. I think sorry, Liam, could you share I think it's I don't think they're individual fence panels. I think there's just a close boarded fence. So each sort of vertical element is built on a sort of fixed to an arris rail. So yeah, it's nothing that we've actually asked them to do. I mean, I can't quite see whether there could be gaps underneath that grey section of fence in the corner, towards the front and the front corner of the property near the gate. I can't quite tell.
I can see, I've got a larger version of that on that particular photograph on my screen here, and it seems to be close to the ground. It's a formidable barrier. The previous one with the hedge that they could get wildlife could get through. Hedgehogs can also climb over walls and things, but I can't see them being able to traverse this. Maybe it's something that can be raised with the applicants separately and as a suggestion of something. I mean, the gate there looks as though it is passable, but
I mean, yeah, it can the sort of matter can get a bit complex. So, for example, I don't think that would be appropriate for that to be an alternative to the enhancement, because we'd probably say that wasn't an enhancement because the pre-development situation was that they had free routes through there, so it would have to be something in addition to that. So we'd probably keep the bird box on rather than having a alternative.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's certainly a good point, and we certainly do require that on a number of applications. Yeah, but say at the moment we are just looking for those two additional conditions.
Yeah, I'll leave it for now.
Okay,
and,
thanks.
And ask that it's mentioned to the applicant.
We can certainly mention it. Yes, it would be pure on a voluntary basis. Basis, I would suggest.
Yeah. Okie doke. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Happy with the recommendations to move.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Perks. Is there any dissent? I see no dissent, in which case I assume that officers' recommendations are carried. There, I have no other items under agenda item 11. There are no part 2 items. Thank you all very much for your time, and as far as this committee is concerned, I hope to see you all at the site visit on the next occasion. Thank you very much indeed.